Welcome back to Greatness in the Deep. We're glad you're with us. Did you know that Paul, he was he wrote majority of the New Testament. He wrote every letter of the Pauline epistles. But he didn't just write letters. He also made an effort and desired to meet his people face to face to communicate to them in his ministry. Today we're going to be talking about social skills in the ministry and how it's important. Stay with us. Welcome back to Greatness in the Deep. We want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Before we go any further, subscribe, leave a comment, hit that like button, and share this video with somebody. Share the love, everybody.
Don't forget to hit the bell.
Hit the bell too, yeah, because they turn it off sometimes. Social skills in the ministry. Now, here's the thing about social skills. Now, millennials, for us when we were kids, one of the problems that we had was that we were always stuck to a computer.
Right.
It was always rush home and jump on the computer and communicate to your friends on AOL, instant message. Yeah, I'm going back early 2000s. But that's the way we were. We were always stuck to a computer. And the thing about it is that we got a bad rep. Our rep was that millennials, they have terrible social skills.
Right. Gen X.
Well, Gen X, well, yeah, they would
you.
pretty much hate on the millennials and say, hey, yeah, they got some terrible social skills. The problem, though, today is that, yeah, we had to run and get to the computer and communicate on a computer. We stay up. People will stay up all night just to talk. Yeah. I mean, it was ridiculous. But the thing about Gen Z is that Gen Z has it
mobile
in the palm of their hands today.
Right.
Wherever they're at, they're using it. In the car, in the laundromat, whatever, at a grocery store, they got it in their pockets. And they're using their devices. And so they're not communicating with nobody. Right. So even though they were talking about millennials being bad, I think that Gen Z has this challenge even more. And it's not Gen Z's fault. It's just these are the devices that they were given.
And it gets integrated into day-to-day life.
Day-to-day life.
It's even more so with video games.
Video games. No, here's the thing about video games. See, we play video games
to play with others.
To play with others. Yeah. And then when the video games got all revolutionized, right? When it all of a sudden all these other video games got coming out and we were able to connect with each other. And so what did we want to do? We didn't want to go outside and play anymore. We wanted to stay inside and play against other people. That was our social skill.
Right.
And it's gotten even worse today. You know, that people want to stay up all day and night and not do anything else or meet anybody. But social skills, are they needed in ministry? I mean, can you actually minister to people if you don't know how to communicate with them face to face? The thing about if you're not communicating and you're staying hidden, you're locked in your room or on your phone, and then the time comes when you do have to communicate with people,
right?
It's like we start getting this social anxiety nowadays. We start getting this social anxiety, and so it becomes fearsome to step out of our world and communicate and socialize with our people.
Well, because when it's just you by yourself, you're able to really, especially if you do it for a long time, people who stay at home or are very introverted, they're able to control their own surroundings. But the most unpredictable thing on the planet are other human beings. So when you go to another human being and you're able to control your little world because you understand it, you don't know what to expect from them. So they could reject you.
You think it's
they
like
could
a form of comfort almost?
You become comfortable because you're able to control yourself and your environment.
That's so true. Now, here's the thing. Think about it. Okay, what millennials are what? They're stuck to their computers. Gen Z are stuck to their phones. Right. But then there's something else coming out that's going to make it even harder, and that's VR.
Yeah.
VR.
Where you're
Yeah.
now,
I pretty much I think it goes back to what we were talking about our very first episode, the making.
Mhm.
Where now the VR is its own world now. To where when you go back to the real world, they're so used to not having any social skills, they go into their own world of VR and they communicate there.
exactly, and there's no confrontation.
Confrontation.
It's just whatever you like,
Right.
whatever you want. Those types of artificial intelligence, because they're not real people that are
Right.
talking to you. You're now just you're communicating what you like all the time. So there's no confrontation. So how do you, whenever you do have a conference with somebody, a confrontation, how do you solve those problems? How do you help people?
Right.
How do you help them go beyond? Now you can't just do it by writing letters all the time. Yeah, Paul, he wrote his letters and he
Right.
ministered, but Paul made effort to actually come out of himself
Right.
Yeah.
and to minister face to face to the people.
At least once.
Yes, because that's the way the Spirit works. The
Right.
Spirit works through people, action through people. And that's what we are. We're beings that are they're powerful beings. Humans, they say they're powerful beings.
Right.
God has made them in his image. So we have to practice somehow and train ourselves how to step out of our own world.
Right.
And that's the challenge today.
I think it was said of Paul. Paul, in one of his letters, he wrote about. I believe it was either the Corinthian church or the church at Thessalonica. They were saying that in his letters, he was like a lion, right? He was real aggressive. He was real.
Mhm.
He would be able to speak up. But then when they met him in person, he was like a little mouse,
Right.
which they thought was a sign of weakness. But really, it was Paul's ability to weave in and out of different
Yes.
characters that was needed in different times.
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't have to show up and
Mm-mm.
beat him over the head. If he already
Right.
did it in his letters, he wanted to love them.
No.
He knew how to weave in and out of characters.
He was completely fluid. And that's
Yeah.
the way the spirit world works. It's completely fluid. There's not one way of doing things.
right.
It's fluid. If he has to go high, he will go high. If he has to go a base, he will go a base.
Right.
He knows how to bring himself down, just like he uplifts himself up to higher authorities.
Right. Right.
But that's social skills. It's
Right, yeah.
it's communication.
You learn
People
that.
say that communication is our wealth.
Yeah.
Mm.
Very true.
The way you know how to communicate things and teach things to people is a powerful, powerful tool.
Yeah.
Right.
And if we're not learning that, I think that what are we doing? We're destroying ourselves.
Yeah. I think you look at, I forgot an example of that is you look at business. You know, what are the most sought after people that owners look for? Salespeople.
For sure.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
good.
they're the ones that make the money. I mean, salespeople can sell like something that has so low value,
Right.
but they can still sell it.
Right. And when you look at that in spiritual aspect, when you're trying to help somebody out, when you're trying to explain the Holy Ghost, or you're trying to explain the life of Jesus to somebody, or even give your own testimony, what God did for you in your life, you're trying to give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going
Right.
to take social skills.
Right.
And so the church is a community of social skills, right? It's a body of believers. So can we actually live without the body of believers? Survive?
No.
I think so.
Absolutely not.
And you got to be able to get along with them if you're going to be with them on a
Right.
weekly, 2-3 days a week basis, or maybe even once a week basis.
Right.
You got to be able to get
Yeah.
along with them.
But it's going to take confrontation, right?
right.
It's going to take some confrontation, of course, but how you manage those confrontations
Right.
is
right.
what's going to make you into that better man, that better person, so that you can become and you can go beyond yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, without conflict, there's no growing.
There is no growing, but Jesus touched the lives of people.
Yeah.
That was his skill. He didn't have a cell phone. He didn't have a computer. He didn't have VR. Jesus was hands-on.
Right.
His ministry. He
Right.
worked hands-on. We have to get into this mode. We have to get ourselves into that mode that Jesus was in. We have to let every generation, millennials and Gen Zs and Alpha, which is right behind us, which is crazy.
Coming up quick.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It's coming. I don't care though. We have the phones. I don't care if we have the computers. I don't care if we have VR and all this artificial intelligence. Folks, we cannot neglect the fact that we have to touch the lives of people, and we got to go hands-on like Jesus did.
Right.
That was the only way he was going to do it if he wanted to change this world. If we're looking to change this world, they say that Gen Zs are the ones that are going to really change this world. And if we're going to do that
I agree.
God's way,
Yeah.
we got to master social skills. We got to master how do we bring ourselves a base? How do we go higher? How do we do this? Because somebody needs to be touched and somebody's hungry and wants to be changed.
Right. I mean, Luke records of Jesus himself, after the famous story where Jesus is there confounding the doctors. His parents left him behind.
It's good.
They come back. At the end of that chapter, it says that Jesus grew in favor with God and with man.
And with man.
So if Jesus had to do it, I mean,
Yeah.
we really don't have an excuse.
No.
Introvert, extrovert, whatever, whatever
No,
you say
there
you
is. Yep, there is no, because there's this spiritual world, but
Right.
then there's also this natural world, because we're natural beings,
Right.
and we have to come together, and we have to learn how to communicate with each other.
Right.
Whether you go to church, you got to communicate. Even though we're doing this podcast, we're doing our air, we're giving out information, we're encouraging people, but once we end the podcast, we got to go out.
Right.
We got to go out and we got to give this to somebody. We got to feed somebody what we've learned.
Right.
It's
Very true.
all what? It's all that giving and taking, so we can give back. It's that flow, that ebb and flow.
It's gotta be something.
It's gotta
It's gotta
be
come out of the
something.
invisible.
So we cannot survive without non-social skills.
Right.
Social skills isn't important. Social skills is part of ministry. It's part of our ministries. Everybody needs to participate in this. I encourage you, young person, elder, middle-aged person, don't be stuck in your box. Don't be stuck in your box. Pray about this. Ask God. Do something to come out of your box, because the three-dimensional world is not the only world. But God has another world for you, a higher dimension where you need to step out of your box, and you need to go and step into deeper dimensions, like the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension. Those things are accessible for you, for us. I encourage you, do it. We love you all, and don't forget, subscribe to this channel. There's much more information that we want to give to you, and you can be the first to grab onto this information. You subscribe, hit the bell, and smash that like button. Share this video, share the love. We love you all. God bless you all, and we talk to you next time.